Sola Adesakin. I'm sure I do not need much introduction for members of the Smart Investment Club who are here. I am excited, like I said already, about today. I have my diary. You all know how much I love to write, and I love to glean from webinars like this. And of course, today's one is going to be totally different because I know that Seye Olusoga is totally ready for us. So I'm just going to do the intros and then we go right into this conversation. Hi, Seye.
Hi, Shola. How are you?
I'm very well. How's it going at your end?
So far, so good. Can't complain. Yeah.
Awesome. Everything is looking bright and beautiful. Okay. So thank you for tonight. I know we would have a great time. I'm just going to run through your profile for those who do not know you yet, and then we start this conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, Seye Olusoga is the founder of iInvest, the leading technology platform that allows over 200 million Nigerians to access financial products. He's a leading banking and finance specialist, having worked at Lehman Brothers London in the debt capital market before moving to Citibank as a trader within its Citigroup Global Markets in London. He played several roles during his time at Citi trading commodities, FX rates, and credit before taking on leadership roles within the derivatives market space as the head of European credit options and index team. Wow. Mr. Olusoga, now I have to put the that profile, I have to put the Mr. Now, Mr. Olusoga holds a first-class degree in electronic engineering from the University of Surrey and is an alumni of the Seye Business School, Oxford, and Warwick Business School in the UK. He is also an alumni of the Lagos Business School and was a member of the Capital Market Master Plan Committee. Wow, what more can I say? What more can I say? So glad to have you here this evening. Looking at that profile, I know that we are in for an amazing time. So let's go into the conversation for today. A lot has happened in the last few months, needless to say. And one thing I have realized is that a lot more people are getting more interested. They are more interested in investing. Now, whether they're doing it the right way is not the issue, but there's an increased sensitivity about people planning, managing, and multiplying their resources and finances more. Now, I wouldn't know that was one of the good things that came with COVID, but you know what? Wherever you turn to, everybody is saying, what can I do? What more can I do? And aside that, there's also an increased sensitivity in the minds of people about investing in foreign denominated instruments and all of that. So Seye, for starters, now COVID has happened and we are here. Some people are still saying when COVID is over, but I tell people, you know what? COVID was over before even COVID started. So in your opinion, what do you think the disruption has done for us in terms of personal finances, and where do you think we should look at going forward?
So I'll say, it's not one jacket fits all in terms of what this has done. I think that what COVID has done is that it's created opportunities for those who are willing to take advantage of them. What COVID has done is also it's made the rich get richer, and then it increases the divide between the rich and the poor, and that's why we're trying to help those who otherwise would not have access to such securities to get in. We're basically trying to say that people should basically look for new opportunities and stop thinking the way they've thought in the past. And particularly when it comes to like personal financing, it's like no one should just think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to keep all my money under my bed because there's COVID outside, businesses are not doing stuff. People are actually getting a lot richer in this time by doing smart things, which we're going to talk about through this medium.
Right. Awesome. I love that. A friend of mine and I were, talking a few days ago about what is happening, especially in Nigeria with regards to the devaluation. And he said something that was quite profound. And he said, you see, looks like there's nothing called middle class again. You're either rich or poor. So, when you said, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, it kind of resonates with what is said. Now, I know the title of our conversation today is Equity Investments as a Investment Strategy Post-COVID. Okay, so I think we should start from there. Of course, there are different asset classes, but let's start before we go into some other things that we can put our money into this season. Let's start from equity. Okay, I know a lot of people, especially in Nigeria, in recent times, they have their eyes on foreign markets. They have their eyes on foreign investments. But I know we are sitting on a gold mine in Nigeria, especially for those who are able to understand the dynamics of the equity market and all of that. So what do you think we should look at in terms of the equity market in Nigeria, and how can we, break into that space to maximize our resources and then because the essence of all of this is to make more money, maximize our resources, multiply our finances, the smart way. So talking about equities in Nigeria, what are some of the things we need to know, and how smart can we play in that market?
Okay, so I think that people should also pay attention to where they are spending their money. You want a piece of where you're spending your money. I think that's really the way I look at it, like for the layman noodles every day. And you can find out the company that produces what she's spending her money on. You're supposed to buy that stock because the chances are she likes the product and other people like the product. And so that company is going to do well regardless of what's going on. So I refer to those kind of companies as like what you call defensive stock. If people are using Zoom a lot more, making phone calls a lot more, then telcos is a good place to put your money because you expect that at some point they're going to pay good dividends. So I think that people should pay a lot more attention to where's my money going and how can I get some of that money back. So if you know where your money is going, then you can figure out where you can get some of your money back. And that's just basically what it is. And being able to share in that prosperity that those people are actually going to get. So I think that that's like very extremely important for people to pay attention to. I also think that people should look at, companies that are less focused on importing their raw materials. So companies where, they can run, locally. So meaning that everything that all their inputs or most of their inputs are local, because they're going to be less susceptible to things like FX impacts and, devaluation, if any happens, as that's going to happen to it's not peculiar to Nigeria, it's all developing countries, and particularly countries that have to even import a lot of goods for whatever it is that they're doing. So they import more than they export. And, America is not alone. America has not handled the coronavirus that well. So even the dollar is weak against a lot of international currencies. So I think that we should just focus on things that we can control. So if a company can control its inputs, then I think that, those are the kind of companies that you should be investing in.
Awesome. Okay, so I know you're being careful and smart about that, but you have raised very, very important points. Now, I'm in my brain quickly doing some quick analysis. For example, I spent so much money buying data, right? Well, so much is relative, okay? But I know that is an area where a lot of my, star 737 goes into. Okay, so that's quite reasonable. So I'm spending, and then I am sharing from the national cake, from the prosperity. Okay, but before we leave the equity topic, a lot of people do not understand the difference between trading and investing. Okay, and I think it's still all about how can I make money in a quick period of time? Within a short period of time. So they tell you, I'm buying these shares today, and then it goes up a bit. I've been there before, so it goes up a bit, they sell. And so what I would like to hear your perspective about those who trade in the equity market, and what you think the pros and cons are as against those who are in that sector, in that market, or who are holding the instruments for a long term. What do you think?
Okay, so I think that people should understand the key difference between investing and trading, and that a lot of people are not going to make money from trading, or rather will make a lot more money from investing. And the reason is twofold. One, every time you go and you buy stock, it doesn't matter whether you use iInvest or you use your normal broker, right? You're going to pay those brokers' fees, right? So if the amount of money by which the price has moved does not cover the fees on the way in and on the way out, you might be net worse off. But if you've invested for the long haul, eventually two things would happen. One, if you chose the right companies, the companies will pay you some dividend. So that's an additional income stream. The second thing is that the prices would have a lot more time to actually appreciate properly, such that, whatever returns that you're making more than cover or outweigh the fees that you would have paid to your brokers. So I think that, that's a key point that a lot of people don't pay attention to. They'll say, oh, I bought at 22, I sold at 25. But then in actual sense, the question is, that 3 naira that you made, does it cover the cost of you getting in and getting out? And a lot of people don't pay attention to that. So I think that that's one thing that people need to pay attention to. I also then think that the trading is usually better for institutional investors as opposed to retail investors, because they have, a bigger balance sheet and more appetite to actually move the needle. You that are buying, maybe it's 100 units or 200 units, right? You're not the guy who's going to move that price in 1 day or in 2 days. You know what I mean? Right, so It's all about having a view and expressing the view and being forward looking, and not trying to think of it as a quick money, MMM kind of thing. Like, I want big money today. No. So.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk a bit about technology. When we started, I mentioned the fact that, in my opinion, a lot of people are more interested in their finances. Okay, a lot of people are. Whenever I speak, in my DM, almost every day I get messages like, oh, I've got 100,000, or I've got 500,000. What can I do? I need something that'll give me like 50% in like 2 months. Yeah, but it happens all the time. Now, the issue is, yes, we are grateful that more people are interested in their finances, which is fine. More people are interested in investing, which is fine. The most important thing is that people approach it the right way and they use the right channels. So when I heard about iInvest, one of the things that caught my attention was the fact that I could actually buy Eurobonds at a minimum of 1,000. I'll give you a bit of history. Within the Smart Investment Club, we kind of look at instruments from all around the world, local, global, and all of that. And in the wake of devaluation, for a long time, I have been saying, guys, change your money to dollars. Even before this devaluation, change your money to dollars. But, change your money to dollars. What are you going to do with it? Are you just going to leave it in a bank, or maybe just do some mutual funds and all of that? So when I saw your app, I kind of, got attracted to the Eurobond thing, apart from the fact that one could buy equities. I'm still going to come into all of that, but I just want to, first of all, commend the initiative, the fact that on an app, you could actually, buy equities, like check whatever equities you could buy, or buy Eurobonds. Because I actually played around with this and I was like, wow. A lot of times you talk to people and then you see, a platform where you can buy Eurobonds for a minimum of 1,000. So that's laudable. But before we go deeper into that, what role do you think technology has to play? And do you think it is sustainable over a long time? of course, I kind of know the answer, but I would like to hear your perspective. I mean, bearing in mind your profile and all of that. We know what technology has done this year. We all know the Zoom. Some people went to buy Zoom shares, pam, 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 pam. I don't know whether it has peaked, whether it's still going to rise, we don't know. We know technology is here to stay. But in the world of personal finance, what are some of the things you see in the foreseeable future in terms of the impact of technology, the impact of using apps, and what people need to do and know about that?
So I think that technology is here to stay. I think that you're going to have winners and losers. Today, I mean, we have iInvest, right? But if iInvest does not keep improving, there's going to be a new app that comes tomorrow that is going to be better. So it's also on the people who are there today to continue to evolve and improve and compete. So I think that the people that would win, or the apps that would win, or the firms that would win, will be those that are customer focused. So meaning that they're taking feedback seriously and they are working to improve the areas of deficiencies that the customers, or the pain points, or reduce the friction that the customers are actually experiencing. But I think that's going to be the key determining factor in terms of who wins and who loses. I mean, back in the day, we all used to say, oh, is it Yahoo or is it Gmail? And then people, Gmail won over Yahoo. And then so it's a question of which technology is going to be the most or the preferred, or people cannot even remember Hotmail back in the day.
True.
So it's a question of, if people continue to provide better services, then people will migrate to the people that have better services and better things that they can use their money for. Because basically, if I give you a product and you thought that there was a better provider out there, you're going to be like, share. Yes, I like you as my friend, but my money is doing better at Mr. B, right? So I think that, technology is here to stay. Technology democratizes the whole process, and it allows people to move from one person to the other, for the customers to actually vote with their 2 feet. So it means that, okay, look, I want to move from here to here because the service is better. And I don't need to go through a broker who's going to create friction as to why I cannot move. I will do what I need to do from the comfort of my home. And that's one of the things that, technology has done. And I think that, over time, you see other players coming to try and do exactly the same thing. So that's how I see it.
Okay, so well, there's still this notion, maybe I don't want to call it fear. There's still this thing, because in our club, we've got people, actually somebody celebrating his 50th birthday today. So we have like a range of people from millennials to those who are actually in retirement. So a lot of people are so skeptical about, I'd rather leave my money in the bank. Well, yes, and just know that everything is safe. But we know that the conventional banking system and, would not provide some of these things that we have access to. So what would you say to people who still have their doubts about the ability of technology to actually revolutionize their finances? The ability for you to pick up an app and then just say, I am buying so shares. You buy it and then instantly you get the necessary alerts, the necessary, whatever that says that, yes, you have bought these shares and all of that. So what would you say to allay the fears of people who still think that they are not sure that Nigeria is right? What are some of the features of iInvest? What are some of the things that you guys have put in place to ensure that the whole process is seamless and to ensure that your customers have a very, seamless experience, and then they get good value for money?
Okay, so I think for us, we've had to jump a lot of hurdles to serve or better serve the customers. So we're one of the few apps that today, if you wanted to withdraw money from your wallet, it doesn't matter whether it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., in the middle of the night. You can withdraw your money and get your money virtually instantly, as far as you've completed your registration and the account that you're moving money to is linked to your BVN. I think that's one of the great things that we've done. I think that the other thing that we've tried to do is to sensitize the regulators. So meaning that, if you went to SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and said, iInvest, they know what iInvest is about. If you went to CBN, the regulators are fully aware. If you go to NFIU, EFCC, everybody, So what we've tried to do is that regulation and putting yourself out there and sensitizing the people, all the stakeholders, is one of the things that we've tried to do. And we think that some level of regulation should come into the space and will come into the space to put, to basically sanitize and protect the funds of the public. And I think that is extremely important and we welcome it. I think the most important thing is for, people like us or, other platforms or applications to actually work closely with the regulators to ensure that they are carried along so we don't suffer from over-regulation that then stifles development. I think that's one of the important things that we need to deal with.
Okay, awesome. So my final question before I would have you talk us through the features of the app. Now, I mentioned that I saw Eurobonds on that app, which is, for quite a number of people who are bent on hedging against currency risk and all of that. What do you think in terms of the state of the economy? Now, I think I'm going to put you on the spot. I read an article a few days ago saying that there might likely be another devaluation. Well, I wouldn't have argued against it and I wouldn't have supported it because in the last how many years I've not seen the Naira appreciate against the dollars, okay? And so what would you say to people in terms of or regarding investing in foreign denominated the things people should be aware of, going forward? Remember, we're talking about post-COVID, we have talked about equities. But what do you think people should become cognizant of? What other areas should they look at, especially in the area of hedging against currency devaluation risks?
So it's a tricky question because I'm one of those people that are pro-Nigerian, but I'll give you a very frank answer. I mean, I would say that people should focus more on, so you can approach it in two ways, either to fix the problem or to run from the problem. So if you're fixing the problem, I think that, people should focus more on buying more localized or locally produced goods and services. That way we improve our own economy and Nigeria starts to grow and starts to produce. I know it's a hard place to work in. And then
as an individual.
Yes.
Talk for me as an individual. And yes, I know we are pro-Nigeria. We want the economy to grow. Locally made. I mean, who would? There's even no way you can patronize foreign goods right now in the wake of COVID. But practically as an individual, as an investor, I'm looking at the long-term effects of everything on my finances and on my ability to build wealth. So I get it. I am going to patronize locally made products. But tell me what I can do to also protect myself, protect my wealth, and whatever resources I have.
Okay. So from a selfish perspective, I could say, okay, convert your money into dollars and then buy Euro bonds. I could tell you that. But that's like kicking the problem down the road, right? One thing you also realize is that things like housing and land are sort of semi-inflation proof. So meaning that even if you have a devaluation, the price and the cost of those things are going to go up. I mean, today, if you wanted to buy a brand new car, maybe it's a Range Rover, whatever, an SUV, it'll probably cost you between 50 to 60 million, assuming it was brand new. But that same amount of money, you can buy a house. So then that tells you that house prices at some point would have to correct or, there's a problem, So, and this is something that has happened, 20 years ago, right? Where you had a situation where people were choosing to whether buy a house or buy a car. So history just repeats itself. Mm-hmm. So I would say sometimes land and property assets could help without, going down the road of, okay, you know what, I'm just going to buy dollars. Because, I mean, the truth is, if I was being honest with you, if you borrowed money even at 24%, right, and you per annum, right, and you took all of that money and you converted it into dollars, right, and you did absolutely nothing, right, over the last 5 years, right? You would have made enough money, because think about it. The currency went from 125 to 250 to 360, and even now the black market is 460 something. So if you borrowed money 5 years ago at 225, right, and you've basically doubled your money, right, the interest rates that you would have been paying, right, your devaluation cost would have practically covered that. So as far as you were able to pay the interest, you'd have been fine. But again, that's destroying our country. I'm basically saying that let's try and say, buy companies that are basically exporting. Support companies, you're only as rich as your customer. Right. So we want Nigerians to be richer by definition. And so what we're basically saying is that Nigerians should produce goods and support companies that are exporting. So there's a company that I heard of the other day, right? They're into recycling, right? And they are selling plastic, Nigerian plastic, to foreign investors. I mean, they're getting dollar income, right? So if they are getting dollar income, if you're an investor in that company, you've hedged yourself, right? Because you then have a company that has dollar cash flows. So those are some of the things that, but I hear you and I know the answer that you want me to give, but some of those answers, whilst they are true, are not pro-Nigeria. And I think that we need to promote Nigeria a lot more and do more for our country. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Great. Yes, we are very patriotic. We would patronize Nigeria. You mentioned that we should patronize companies that are into export. And I'm, just trying to quickly scan through my brain for companies that are listed. I know Okomo Oils. I'm personally invested in them. And over the last few months, in fairness, they have done quite well. So this is what happens when I get my my reports valuation every week. I hardly check. Sometimes I check like 3-4 weeks. But in recent times, just to corroborate what you're saying, I believe Okomo Oils export, right? I know they're into exporting, okay? But I'm also trying to think, what other companies export? Well, maybe participants can, if they can chat, they can drop examples, in the chat box so that we can, rub minds, and so we can really, really tackle Seye on this. We really should patronize big on exports. And so shall we? So would we? Tell us a bit about the iInvest apps, the features, some of the things we can get on it. I'm in already. I'm going to do my first transaction. I just want to throw some money there and, just have that feeling of, okay, I bought these shares by myself and all of that. But beyond that, for those who have not downloaded the app, tell us some of the things we can see on it and, how to navigate the app.
Sorry, I missed that, Shola. I didn't hear you.
Okay, so I said, could you run us through some of the features on the iInvest app? I have downloaded it. I love it, but could you just tell us, for those who are on this call who haven't heard about iInvest before, could you tell us some of the things that we need to know about the app, some of the things we can do on it?
Okay, so I think that the app is basically quite simple. We built it for the unsophisticated investor, for people to be able to invest without the need of a financial expert. So meaning that they can buy equities, they can invest in fixed income securities, they can also invest in Euro bonds. I know that some people would probably have to say that they have had some challenges trying to invest in Euro bonds given the new regulation where people are not able to either pay cash, dollars, or do transfer. So I think that if you have transfer dollars, I think that you should still be able to do it. I know that there's some restriction but then if the money is going to your account and it's going for an investment purpose, so it's you investing in yourself, then it should be possible, except if your bank just doesn't want to do it for you. But there shouldn't be any issues around that. The app basically, as far as you've registered with your BVN and your KYC checks out, then you should have no issues investing on the app. Is quite self-explanatory. And very soon we'll be bringing in also insurance products. With the whole COVID-19 happening, We think that people should take health insurance, life insurance, even content insurance a lot more seriously. So meaning that, oh, you bought a new laptop, you bought a new phone. You are not sure whether your paycheck is still going to come in the way it's been coming in the last 5 to 6 months. You basically can actually insure, or should be able to think about insuring those products so that if something goes wrong, your quality of life is not diminished by that. So those are some of the things that we're going to add on to the app in the near future. And then we're going to actually try and see how we can continue to improve the customer experience. But really, once you have a proof of ID, utility bills, and your BVN details, you should be able to get on the application quite seamlessly without the need of calling customer service.
Okay, awesome. So we have quite a number of people who are members of the club and who are not residing in Nigeria. Is there any way they can benefit from this as well? I know BVN people who are outside of the country, but do you have anything in place for them?
So for us, at the moment we don't, and that's because of regulation. The CBN has said that we should use the BVN as the guiding. So if people don't have BVN, we have to come up with better ways. And they said to us when we tried to place the argument about people in the diaspora, they said, well, there are centers across the world for people to be able to get their BVN set up. And so we are then trying to see, okay, fine, how we can work with other jurisdictions to be able to come up with ways of verifying that the people are who they say you are. So being able to connect to foreign databases. So where, if it was the UK, you use the national insurance number. If it was the US, you use the social security number to basically verify that people are who they say they are. And that also helps against things like money laundering and fraud. So those are some of the things that we are looking at, or initiatives that we are currently working on to see how that can actually attract people who actually don't have BVNs who are in other jurisdictions.
All right. We look forward to the many additions that will come. So I know there's another poll. For those who are listening, I would like for you to fill out this poll as well. It's going to go on the screen in 1 minute. And I think we should take questions from fill out this poll. Let's see what you're interested in: treasury bills, euro bonds, equities, fixed deposits, mutual funds, agri funds, loans, insurance, and others. Okay, so do that in 1 minute, and then we're going to go into the Q&A. If you have any questions, please drop them already, and we'll look into it. Okay. All right. So, let's take a few questions from the audience.
Okay.
That with okay, you've answered some already, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Someone just asked a question about, could I invest roll out weekly stock recommendations? We're currently working with the regulators to see if we are allowed to do that. So we are not attempting to be trying to manipulate a particular stock or attract our audience or clients to actually trade on those particular stocks, thereby manipulating the stock. So we're trying to see if we can resolve that issue. Okay, I hope I've answered that question.
Now, there's this question I would like for you to, yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. There's this question from Richard. He says, I was informed local domiciliary account or deposit cash to the investment account. How does one buy into Eurobond on iInvest?
So we've had quite a number of people invest via the iInvest platform on the Eurobonds. People have done some transfers if the money came in via transfer. So meaning that if in your account is in Standard Chartered and you had invested, you had gotten the money, whether it was an inflow, not you paying cash into that account, then you're able to do the transfer. We've had people who've not had issues with that. However, if the money didn't come in through transfer, you can't prove that the money came in through transfer, then the only alternative way to do it is via cash. Well, our preferred option is actually for it to come in via transfer, as it's trackable, traceable, and it's easy to manage without any human intervention.
But is it possible for people to pay cash directly into your account to fund the?
Yeah, yes, it is, but it's not our preferred way. I mean, so it's not paying into our account. You go to Sterling.
Did you get that?
Right? Yes, I did.
Okay.
So in that situation, you have to go to a Sterling. You have to go to a Sterling Bank branch. You then tell them you want to place the money in Invest, and then they will have to give you fill a form, and it's quite a cumbersome process. But yes, it is possible, but it's not our preferred way of doing it, because if the teller does not do what they are meant to do on time, that delays the money reflecting on your account, if you know what I mean. So those are some of the challenges that we have. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Somebody says, do you trade and train investors in cryptocurrencies? I can almost say a big no for that, right?
Yes, it's a big no, and for many reasons, because Nigeria today does not have a regulatory framework for that. And until that happens, we wouldn't participate in doing that.
Okay. How do I get paid of my dividend in my equity investment? So I think that's a good question. Now,
yeah, that's a great question.
Actually, the shares through your app, right? So go for it.
Yeah. So when you buy the shares through our app, you'd have had at some point to put in your bank account. That bank account that you put in is where your dividends go to. So, and that's an automated process straight through between CSCS and the registrar, and your dividend will go straight to your bank account. As far as you own that equity or the stock before the cutoff date by which the register was taken. So meaning that if you bought a stock on the 15th of last month, and the cutoff date was the 10th of last month, for them to pay the dividend next week, you're not going to get any dividend because you didn't qualify. But if you bought it before the cutoff date that the company announced, you will definitely get your dividend, and the dividend will be paid directly to your bank account that you had registered with us.
Okay. All right. So I know that when you buy shares through brokers, as soon as they execute the deal, you get an alert. Okay. Yeah, somebody
I like this question. They're quite straightforward.
Okay, one of my club members, I see a lot of Apple, says iInvest app is a fantastic app that I have used for treasury bills in the past. I would love to use it for
on the App Store, or type it on the Play Store. Whether it's Play Store or Apple or the Apple Store, and you can actually find the app quite easily, and you can download it, and you're good to go. Once you've followed the straightforward processes that I would ask you, it gives you some nice prop touch.
It's quite seamless. I mean, I did it in less than 2 minutes, and I loved the feel. Okay, so this is a question that I was going to ask earlier on, but thank you, Temitope. She says, or he says, what happened to T-bills such that the interest rate per annum is now lower than 5%? Somebody would love to answer the question live though. I see that. Who's going for it?
So basically, that question is a great question. Is COVID-19 happened, and the government took a position that in order to help direct money to the real sector and to take people away from investing in the T-bills market. So instead of crowded people just going for high rates on the T-bills market, the money should go to the real sector. And so what they've tried to do is to lower interest rates. So if banks and other large-scale investors cannot put their money and just go to sleep in those, they will start to look for things or businesses that actually help grow Nigeria or grow the Nigerian economy, and then money starts to flow to the real sector. And so that's all that's happened. It's just government policy that has basically led to the decline in interest in TBO yields. The other thing that has happened, which is more technical, is that they stopped allowing non-banks to invest in what you would have called OMO bills, which is the open market operation bills. And so people were now just allowed to invest in T-bills. So even the asset manager could only do T-bills. And so laws of demand and supply come into play. Where there's more demand than supply, prices would also crash.
Wow. Okay. So do you see that getting better? Do you see Treasury bill rates getting better anytime soon in the foreseeable future?
I think that, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think that by sometime next year, things should start to normalize because inflation is high. Inflation is over 12% today in Nigeria. So really, whatever rates you're getting is actually negative value because inflation is quite high. And so the cost of goods are going up everywhere. So at some point, these policies would have to change, and that would lead to an increase in interest rates. So I don't think it's a short-term fix. I think it's more of the medium term when these rates will start to go up.
Okay. Somebody says, this is a feedback. I suggest the app has a feature where snippets of the company on the equity markets can be viewed. Is iInvest a licensed broker with NSE?
Okay, so iInvest was built by a company called Parthian Partners. Parthian Partners has a subsidiary, which is PSL Capital, which is a registered and licensed stockbroker with the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the Securities Exchange Commission. And so iInvest is a channel, which that's why at the bottom of your, when you're buying your equities, it will tell you that this service is brought to you by PSL Capital, which is a licensed and registered stockbroking firm with the Nigerian Stock Exchange and Securities Exchange Commission. So all trades that are done on that platform are legitimate transactions, which can be verified with CSCS if you wanted to check yourself.
Okay, awesome. We have quite a number of questions. I would like for us to just run quickly through as many as we can. Somebody says, I just downloaded the app, a request for a referral code. Can you provide that and further explain it, please? I saw the referral code when I downloaded, and I'm not sure it stopped me from, concluding on the downloading and all of that.
You don't necessarily need the referral code. It's just basically to help people track. So let's say, for example, there was a promo going on and they said, okay, if you invite a friend, you need to put this in, then so that your friend gets the benefit. If there was a promo going on at that point in time, then that would be the case. But if you don't have a referral code, it doesn't stop you from going ahead or downloading the app.
Okay, so do you get certificates for investment on the apps, like when you buy shares? All of those certificates. I'm not sure they still send.
No, so you don't get certificates for shares when you buy them, but you can verify if you register with CSCS, which is a depository in Nigeria. You can actually view the shares that you own. So if you look at it, you find what you own there. On the app as well, I believe that the app sends an automated email that tells you that as proof that you actually own that security, and you can actually verify it against the CSCS records. But for things like treasury bills, you can verify that with Sterling Bank. They can provide you with letters. We've had people make requests for that, for it to go to embassies or as proof that they actually own or have those assets. So that's also available.
Awesome. Somebody loves the app for TB. She's asking, or he is asking, if it is possible to introduce a guaranteed income equity product.
Yes, we're working on that, but again, that needs regulatory approval because like we said earlier on, we don't want to do anything that makes us foul or would not go down well with the regulator, and so we will need to carry the regulator along in terms of producing. So we have quite a number of new products that we're working on, but we need to get the regulators buying before we can actually launch them on the app.
All right. I'm new to the Nigerian market. I'm interested in equities. Where's the best resource to get and learn about the market? I'm sure that iInvest has. Do you send like newsletters and all of that to your to those who have the apps, just to kind of,
I mean, you can get that can be done, but there's a couple of things that are thin lines which we're trying to work with the regulators, because we don't want to be seen as manipulating the market. And so once we get the go ahead to be able to do that, then we'll start to send and publish those to customers, for customers to see.
Awesome. Well, within the Smart Investment Club, we provide investing and financial literacy. So whoever is asking that question, please feel free to join us. We will, give you provide literacy that would help you take some of the decisions on apps to buy. Okay, so I think I can only take maybe just one more question, and then we'll have to round this off. How will I receive dividends? Straight to your bank. We already answered that. What's the way to get out of the current interest rate? We already talked about that. Well, I'm interested in investing in equity. Get literacy. Keep following. Join the Smart Investment Club. Follow iInvest on social media as well. They've got loads and loads of good content. Can one buy individual stocks? Yes, equity on iInvest. Yes, you can buy equity. So this is, I like this question. It says, would you consider trading in Eurobonds advantageous for a Nigerian living in the US? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just that, it's advantageous, but if you're already living in the US, the question would be around BVN. So if you have your BVN stuff sorted out, then it's easy for you to get your money in and out of the, as far as you have a Nigerian bank account that you can do your transfers to. We're working to see how we can incorporate like foreign accounts for you to be able to transfer the money directly to your foreign offshore accounts and stuff. So it's just a convenience thing. We're all about convenience and simplicity. So the simpler it is for you, the better it is for us. So that's basically what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, please follow iInvest on Instagram. I think just trying to get the Instagram handle. iInvest is 1 minute. What's the Instagram handle? Okay, iInvestNG, that's it. Very straightforward, iInvestNG. So somebody's putting it in the comment box already. You can get into their DM to ask more questions. So this has been quite an interesting session, but please permit me to ask just this very last one. I have an existing CSCS account. The question is, if I buy equity on iInvest, does it automatically show on my existing CSCS account?
No, so everybody who is on iInvest gets generated a CSS account. If you wanted it to be on the same old account that you had with a different broker, you can actually merge the two, and we can guide you through that process. You can actually merge the two, or you can say that you want your stocks transferred to that same CSS account. That can be done.
All right, thank you. So I know we haven't even answered so many questions, but I can assure you, if you get into the DM of iInvest on either Twitter or Instagram, just tell them you are from the webinar, your question was not answered. I trust you would get an adequate response. Okay, so thank you so much, Cher. Do you have any final words for us?
Stay safe, stay sane, and keep looking for opportunities.
iInvest, your partner on the journey to financial freedom.